You're listening to GotTech, the podcast, with your hosts, Eric Guise and Nick Johnson. Welcome back, everyone, to GotTech, the podcast. This is our 10th episode, Resources, PD, and Edtech Tools for the Summer. Guys and I are going to talk about some of the plans we'd like to accomplish this coming summertime. We're going to go through a few of the podcasts that we've been listening to and some that we plan to listen to more. We're also going to get into some of the Edtech tools we tried out but would like to enhance our use of over the summertime. Some of the books we've laid on our nightstands but haven't gotten a chance to read. Also, some of the educational groups that we've been a part of and want to continue keep using. We'll close the episode with some of the PD that we're most excited about for this coming year.
Hey, good to see you again, Nick. I'm happy to sit down with you for another podcast.
It's exciting. This is our 10th one. I can't believe we're in the double digits already.
Time's flying when you're having fun.
There you go.
So let's just get right into it. We're breaking away from our traditional format just to get into a School's Out episode.
Summertime's all about changing up your regimen, doing things differently, starting anew, starting fresh. So we're going to do that with episode 10. Let's kick it off with some of the things that we plan to accomplish over the summer. I know I always like to use summer as a time where you don't have to come into work every day, so you can sort of work from home and really dig into some things you wouldn't otherwise have time for. Do you have anything lined up for that?
Well, I will say I am on my last class before I start my dissertation for my doctorate, so that will take up some of my time, but one of the things I plan on doing is creating some professional development that we could put on our GotTech.com webpage for everyone to use. I'm going to focus a lot on digital escape the rooms.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, we've been trying really hard to update that as much as possible, but it's tough over the school year, so it'd be nice to see some things going in there. I know for me, I'm really going to try and dig deep into some video creation for my classroom this coming year. I like to make my own videos that my kids watch. A lot of times you find them on YouTube and they're great, but if there's always something that's just a little bit off compared to what I want. So a lot of the time, if I can, when I have the time, I make them and I record them. So I'm really going to go pretty deep into that. I also want to do a lot more with designing technological supplements for students that are struggling through my lessons or through my units, and also things for the faster moving students who are done early and need some other things to do.
That sounds really cool. Nick, I know we try to listen to podcasts as much as we create them. Is there one on your mind that you have queued up ready to go for this summer?
Yeah, sure. But this is one of my favorites, and it's actually not an Edtech podcast, which I think sometimes is pretty good just to break that mold a little bit. And this is a pretty popular one, so some of you may have heard this. It's called the Stuff You Should Know podcast. The episodes are pretty short, about the same length as we do, 40 to 50 minutes. And each one just kind of picks a different topic to cover and sort of dig deep into. Just some of their most recent ones, they talk about everything. So the most recent one was Frida Kahlo. Before that was the Max Headroom incident, which I don't even know what it is. But the thing I like about these is you can share them with your students. So if you come across one of these that has some connection to a course that you teach, a class of kids could definitely listen in and get some really interesting information. And just the way that the episodes are presented is really fascinating. Might give you a little bit of a break from that educational world, but also, like I said, can be some really cool ties to things that you might actually use in your classroom. So I'd like to recommend the Stuff You Should Know podcast to everybody.
Sounds pretty cool. I do have that one queued up because we talked about this a little bit beforehand. But
yeah, what do you got?
So I just came back from the Garden State Summit. It was awesome. I had a great time there, and I had the opportunity to take Jeff Bradbury's podcasting class there, and the professional development definitely helped me a lot. Very good time, but he is one of the gurus out there that he has 5 or 6 different podcasts that he's a part of.
Wow.
He's a Microsoft and Google trainer, so he's very diverse in that, and he likes to get other professionals in the field onto his podcast. So he would way rather have multiple people producing a podcast, making the podcast with him than doing a solo, which I found very interesting. But I'm going to recommend the TeacherCast podcast. And if you guys want to follow Jeff on Twitter, it's at Jeff Bradbury. Awesome guy, great energy, had a lot of good points. Went over some equipment and some tools that we could use on the podcast, maybe to brush things up. He also talks a little bit about how he edits podcasts, which is pretty amazing. So
cool.
I'm not going to throw out his whole professional development there because he will be at the Podcast Movement 2018 in Philly. So if you want to catch him, you could probably catch him there. I know he's going to be there. He'll probably be doing some type of a professional development. But he has a lot of good stuff on his podcast. Some of his most recent ones were understanding the many ways we can engage our visible learners in our classrooms and how can we promote cognitive rigor through classroom questioning. I know as a first-year teacher, second-year teacher, questioning is one of the hardest things that you'll do.
Yeah, questioning is still one of the hardest things you could do. That sounds like a good one to check out. Okay, so what about some EdTech tools that you're looking to use more of this coming school year?
Other than Google, just creating a lot of digital escape the rooms because I'm getting a lot of good feedback on those. I know I did one for your class.
Sure.
I just finished one on the Odyssey. I have one on To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm trying to get one per content area just so they can kind of experience the flow of digital escape the rooms to go with some of the physical escape the rooms that I do. But other than that, I'm going to focus on really getting the most out of Google Keep. It's a tool that I've been exposed to in conversation several times. I never really investigated it, but I'm going to definitely use Google Keep, and I'm going to focus on how to use Google Keep in formative and summative assessments.
I think I'm taking a look at ThingLink for this coming year. We've talked about ThingLink several times, and I've only used it a few times in my class, but I really think that that's going to be a big one for me. If you haven't heard about it yet, ThingLink allows you to annotate images in 360-degree images that you can click and pan through. And just in one of the more recent episodes, as we're sort of checking that out, I got tons of great ideas. And I think as I build more tech-based units, I really want ThingLink to be a big part of that, to kind of let my students explore some more interactive things at their own pace. Along with that, the best feedback I've gotten from students this year has been for the flipped classroom units where they watch videos at home. I know you had a bunch of experience with that when you were still teaching bio. And the kids love it. That's like their favorite way to do, at least for me. Maybe it's just the way I do it or blends with my personality the best, but it went really awesome. So I'm going to hit that hard this year, especially with YouTube is coming out with a new tool that embeds right within the video and asks questions as people watch the videos. It's called Video Questions Editor. I don't think it's available on the main YouTube page yet, but you can access like a trial version of it, and I think that's going to be really awesome too as we incorporate some videos as part of the flipped classroom units.
That's awesome. I really like ThingLink. First of all, I think it really brings a lesson to life, especially when you use the 360-degree version of a picture.
Yeah.
And YouTube editor sounds great. I mean, it almost seems like YouTube is, starting to step up. They have a partnership with Google, so they're increasing their game a little bit more towards the educational side. So
it does seem like that. I think they know how many teachers are using this now, and it's K through 12, but also at the collegiate levels too. So they're really tying some or bringing in some really cool resources for us.
All right, let's get to books.
Books. This is the toughest one. I don't know about you, but I never feel like I have time to read over the school year.
I've been reading a lot of textbooks and case studies and research papers and things like that. I can't wait to get back into just being able to crack open a book and read a couple pages.
Yeah, it's one of the best parts about summer. I know one of the ones that I've been considering checking out is called Smart But Scattered by Peg Dawson and Richard Guare. This is all about students that are intelligent. I've seen some research actually that says, everybody's seen the bell curve shape before. That's like your typical expected model for outcome in your classroom. But I've heard an argument for the opposite, where there's actually, it would be like an inverted bell curve where most of the students are likely to be either more intelligent or have some kind of learning disability. And actually, that middle range is where there's less students. And the only reason it doesn't look like that is because a lot of kids have a hard time with something called executive functioning. And that's what this book is about. Their overall theme is just that intelligent students struggle in school because they need support with that. And I think we've all heard, at least I have heard the term executive functioning, but I didn't know what it was until I read this.
Yeah, so I think that's just when students have trouble getting organized or controlling their emotions and actions, and they struggle to fight impulses like pulling out their cell phone every 2 seconds.
Right.
And checking to see if they got a like on Facebook or whatever, a follow on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a distracting world out there for kids these days. And as soon as I read the back cover of this book, their little, information on executive functioning, that really spoke to me, especially at the high school level for us. I see this all the time with kids. They're the content I'm teaching, it's well within their realm of ability, but they're just too disorganized. They're too stressed out. Distracted, too emotional to really focus on it. So I'm hoping that as we read this, it gives me some good info to help those kids out.
All right, I'm going to do something that would be very, very hard for me to do, and that's a book by Donald Finkel called Teaching with Your Mouth Shut.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to like that.
Yeah, that would be tough, but I really like the message that was on the back. It's about getting out from the lecture stand, so basically transitioning your class from a teacher-centered classroom to a student-centered classroom, and it gives some strategies on how to do that and make that transition. Though I have been a student-centered classroom for quite some time.
Right.
Especially in my last couple of years of teaching before I got the tech integration position. I still think that I'm missing some stuff and I can make myself better. So this is something that I'm interested in and I definitely want to check out.
That's awesome. Yeah, you can't get enough good tips about how to take yourself sort of away from that lecture style stuff. We could always use some new things there. Let's go into some educational groups, some online groups. This is sort of more your arena there, Guise. What do you got for me as far as educational groups?
I find the best way to figure out stuff in the Edtech and education realms is to be a part of a community.
Right.
So there are 4 that I really gravitate to lately. I just became new members and I plan on becoming more engaged in those. And there's obviously the ones that I've already been a part of. House of Edtech, that's still a good one. It's thriving. There's a lot of interaction on there.
Is that Chris Nessie, right?
Yeah, that's yep. Chris Nessie. And then now I recently became a member of Technology Teacher Tribe on Facebook, Hacking Project-Based Learning. I love project-based learning.
That's awesome. I should have mentioned that earlier as another thing I really want to do more of this coming year. So that should be a really helpful one.
Teach with Tech, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the next question because I know that's coming up. And then a newer one called Smashboard EDU.
Do you know what's the deal with Smashboard? Do they feature something in particular?
Smashboard, their icon up at the top of their group was empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test.
Ooh, nice.
So that just caught my attention. I'm not really familiar with it. I'm a part of it. The guy that runs it is super active, and he has a lot of great ideas out there.
Okay.
So I'm just excited. That was actually one that I added yesterday.
Right.
So I haven't really been too involved with that, but through the couple of posts that the creator has done, I like what I see.
Yeah,
you know?
That looks like a cool one to check out. Smashboard EDU.
Yeah, and they just have a new website called smashboardedu.com.
Nice. Let's wrap this up and get into some of the PD we're looking forward to this summer. That's one of the other best parts about summertime is, you've got the time to sort of actually check out some PD and focus on that.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with virtual conferences. Last year, I tuned into YouTube and the EdTech team was running a virtual conference. It was the first time I've ever seen or been a part of a professional development like that, and It was awesome. It was 8 hours. Where I sat in my pajamas on a Saturday with my feet up. I had 3 meals placed next to me, ready to go, some snacks, some drinks, and I kind of watched that. But there's a couple of those coming up,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, which is very cool. And one you can find on Twitter. using hashtag Hive Summit, HIVESUMMIT, and that's August 1st through the 9th. So they're going to be running this professional development for the first 9 days of August, and they're going to have videos every like 30 minutes.
Whoa.
And then these videos will be available for some time after, but you have to go to Twitter, type in hashtag Hive Summit and register, and you'll have the access codes to those videos for those first 14 days. And also you'll be able to see them live for the first 9.
That's awesome. So no, you have to register. You can't just log into YouTube and see the videos?
Right.
All right.
You're going to register and they're going to send you a link later on. So that one's pretty cool.
Cool.
The NJAET is having a tech splash. This is not a virtual one, but they're having a tech splash on Wednesday, August 1st. And the keynote speaker there is Alice Keeler, who has come up on our podcast several times. We also have a professional development in August at Rider University that we are going to be presenting at.
Yeah, if you guys want to check out Guise and myself in person, we're going to be presenting a brief session on some of the really cool work we've been doing with
Escape the Rooms,
Escape
the
the
digital
Rooms.
Escape the Rooms,
That's
and
right.
maybe even a physical Escape the Room, which is pretty cool. So that is at the Gifted and Talented Symposium on Rider's campus.
And any of our other local New Jersey teacher listeners, you could check out Guise and I also at TeachMeet New Jersey, August 9th. That's in Toms River South. We think we've got that one lined up.
We're just doing one of the app smashes.
Yeah,
up there.
okay.
We signed up for one of those.
Yeah, one of the App Smash things at TeachMeet New Jersey, August 9th, as well as probably the New Jersey Science Convention this coming fall.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm actually going to present one with you and present one with our colleagues, Stephanie Euclid and Karen Lucci, who are basically professional development queens. I mean, they go everywhere.
They're amazing, yeah.
So they're pretty phenomenal. But that's what we have on our plate. I'm going to hope to watch a couple baseball games on the tube as well this summer. Grill out a little bit. But other than that, I'm looking forward to 6 weeks of, just trying to develop my craft a little bit more and find ways that I can work with other teachers to make quality products and just share them.
Yeah, I mean, this summer's awesome for the rest and relaxation piece, but I think the best part is that as you do recuperate and sort of bring yourself back to square one after a long and intense school years, to sort of start taking a look at some things with your enhanced, with your free time and really figure out some cool stuff. Because when you can focus on it and you're not so stressed about the grading and everything else, it's kind of, at least for me, it's the best time to really, like you said, enhance your craft.
One thing I really like about all this is if you think about it this way, an average teacher is in the profession for how many years?
Oh, man, 25? Is it? It's a lot, right?
Yeah, it's like 25, 30
Yeah,
years.
25, 30 years.
It's up there.
Yep.
So if you develop a unit, 1 unit per summer, and you have the average person has 4, 8, 12 max units,
12
chapters,
12,
whatever.
12 would be a lot. That'd be a big number, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you just develop one, after like 4 or 8 years,
You're good.
you're good. You'll be going back and, revamping it. But if you just pick one that your students will like and appreciate and just make it better each year, you're staying at the top of your game.
Every summer I set the goal of 2 units. I never actually get to 2 because you get so busy doing other stuff, but I for sure get the 1 done, and it always comes out the best too because you had all that free time to work on it, and it's really helpful.
So get with your colleagues. I know I'm going to try to start something in August, and it's just going to be called Deck 490. And
Really?
Yeah, this is blowing.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, you don't know anything about this.
Am I not invited to Deck 490?
The invitations haven't gone out.
Okay.
But it's going to be a select number of people, and they're allowed to bring up one other teacher guest.
Ooh.
And we're just going to sit down. We're going to just basically do an unconference, just talk about whatever we want. And if we can decide a project that we want to work on together, we'll do it.
Wow.
And then we'll try to grow it from there.
There we go. Deck 490. You heard it here first. The official release of Guise's new PD. That sounds awesome.
All right. So until next time, go to GotTech.com. Check us out there. You'll see some professional developments going up on that page finally. And then also follow us on Twitter at WeGotTech.
That concludes today's episode. Thank you very much for listening to GotTech, the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at WeGotTech or follow along on our website, gottech.com. Until next time.